Greetings, I'm Tim of Govberg, and I'll be your guide for this discussion of the proper usage and care for the Tag Heuer Formula One chronograph Red Bull Special Edition. It's important to note that this quartz chronograph features a 2-year battery life at minimum. The watch will begin to tick in 4-second increments as an end-of-life alert once the battery begins to approach a depleted state. Now, when you see the 4-second jumps, it's important to have the watch serviced with a Tag Heuer authorized retailer to replace the battery and assure the original factory-rated water resistance of the timepiece once the battery has been replaced. Now, it's important to also note that should the watch run down completely, it's still important to have the battery removed and replaced, as leaving a battery fully discharged within a quartz watch can damage the movement severely. It's also important to note that this watch, though inspired by land-based motorsports and the exploits of the Red Bull Formula One team, is still very much an aquatic instrument, and with 200-meter water resistance should be treated with care as befits its specification as a high-performance diving timepiece. And diving is important because with 200-meter water resistance, Tag Heuer approves this watch for all water sports, including diving. However, you do have to take certain precautions to assure the factory-rated water resistance of the timepiece, starting with the crown. Screw it down completely. The easy grip crown threads into its sleeve and endows the watch with 200-meter water resistance as it leaves the factory. However, the watch should never have its crown screwed out, nor should the crown be turned or any of its functions actuated, nor should the chronograph pushers be operated when the water is on the case or the watch is completely submerged, as doing so can bypass the seals of the watch, introduce water to its interior, and severely damage the cosmetic and mechanical integrity of the timepiece. Now, it's also important to remember that water resistance is not a static quality of a watch. Rated at 200 meters as it leaves the factory in Le Chaux-de-Fonds, this watch nevertheless does need to be checked annually, as Tag Heuer recommends an annual checkup for all of its watches to ensure that factory-rated water resistance remains intact. This can be done at any Tag Heuer authorized retailer with specialized equipment available on the premises. Now, it's also important to remember that should the watch be exposed to any caustic materials such as cosmetics, such as chlorine, such as salt, detergents, or bleach, Tag Heuer recommends washing the watch with a soft brush and a light soapy solution in fresh water. This assuming, however, that the watch has passed its water resistance test within the last 12 months. Now, the chronograph movement of this watch has special functions that start with the actuation of the chronograph pushers, but also include interaction with your watch through the crown. The crown has 3 positions: fully threaded in, a second position where the date can be quick set, and an outermost position where the time itself can be set. Starting with the second position, you can see how a rapid setting function is available for the date window. Now, as you set the watch, you can cycle through the date. Should the watch run down or encounter an irregular length month, you can quickly cycle to the correct date with one caveat. Tag Heuer advises never setting the date between the hours of 8 p.m. and 4 a.m., as this is the period during which the movement's automatic changeover is engaged, changing the date. Should you attempt to manually set the date between the 8 p.m. to 4 a.m. sweep, you are likely to damage the movement. So take care and know whether your watch is displaying AM or PM before you attempt to set the date. The safest way to set the date is simply to advance it past the date change, take the chronograph down to 6 o'clock as displayed on the civil time at center, and then set the date manually. In the outermost position, note the advance of the constant seconds hand at 3 o'clock. In the outermost position, the movement has a hacking or stop seconds function, such that the seconds hand halts and you can now precisely synchronize the watch to a known accurate reference time, such as an atomic clock. Again, none of the functions, such as setting, correcting the date, or operating the chronograph pushers, should be actuated when the watch is submerged or when there is any water on the case. Now, as a quartz watch, this is nevertheless a handmade Swiss timepiece assembled by a watchmaker. It must be serviced by a watchmaker, and you can find trained personnel, original factory replacement parts, and specialized equipment necessary to service this watch exclusively at Tag Heuer authorized dealers and factory boutiques. It's also important to note that servicing every 4 to 6 years through these authorities will ensure that all of the parts and work performed are covered by a Tag Heuer service warranty. To learn more about the handling of this Tag Heuer Formula One Chronograph Red Bull Special Edition, call our experts at govbergwatches.com and they will be happy to walk you through the operation, care, and maintenance of your timepiece.